Greetings and humble salutations. I am Cameron Sproul, a fourth year graduating accounting major from Jacksonville, Florida. And today I'll be talking to you about eliminating fraud opportunities with advanced data encryption software. So, before we even get into advanced softwares and technology, I first want to define to you what money is or what you believe money is. So forget everything, and I mean everything that you think you know about money. Money is a piece of paper. Money is no better or no more than how much work you put in. So the same way you could do a job, hey, that's the same amount as getting money. It's the same thing. Money is the measurement or the way we convert services and goods and products to have worth, to have value, to know what you're doing and how much it's worth. Um, so I'm gonna give you a little more background about money rather than just defining it. So as early as the 1600s, that was the first time we actually used and traded things to acquire more, to know what's better than something else. So it could have been back in the day when, oh, my rock is worth more than your stick because maybe I can do more things with it. You can't really do as much with your stick, but I can throw this rock. So it's sort of the same concept. So in 1776, the Revolutionary War was upon us, and that was the first issue of money in America as we know it. So we were given paper notes. And what that was is it was basically a piece of paper. I mean, the same thing money today is. It's a piece of paper, but it was about the size of a notebook, and it was written off by the Constitution. This is worth such and such, such and such worth, or what can you do with this? Basically a promissory note. But after the end of the Revolutionary War, inflation happened, and ultimately the dollars or the promissory notes were only worth a fraction of what it was today. Sorry about that. Just something for y'all to see. So gold, silver, and bronze. As we know it today, it still pretty much has the same worth. Of course, gold being worth more than bronze. So anyways, after the Revolutionary War, about 100 years later, we approached the Civil War. And during the Civil War, we did have private banks, meaning each state, after it was the North and the South, they were going at it. The South were known as the greenbacks because they actually had green dollar bills. The South was the first to have green dollar bills, and the North had still white currency or the white sheets of paper. So with those private banks, they're all different, because with those private banks, each state had a different currency or a different dollar. So on that, it would capture what the state represents. So it could be something from the West. They will have a buffalo on it, or it may have like a peach tree from the South. Something to that matter to let you know what it might be worth in each respective state. But after the Civil War, it was a lot of confusion between the two, and with all these different designs, nobody could really decipher what the worth was of each respective dollar in the States. So after that, now we approach the first American national currency, which is tender notes for short. And with those tender notes, what they actually represented was official documentation from the Constitution, Congress, the big boss man in charge. Hey, this is worth this across the board. So America finally had that stable, okay, this is a worth of something. So in 1880s, that's when they compared the paper tender notes to golds and metals. And from that, I mean, that's the same thing with today, how we understand money. And the thing about it is, it was called a gold to dollar relationship. So let's say it would be $10, or the tender note would say $10. That would be worth 3 pieces of gold. So you sort of get a feel in your mind of what that actually means. After that, the federal bank was formed in the 1900s. It was independent. Excuse me. It was a way of America to have a natural balance and not have so much inflation on the prices and value of things. So the independent bank helped regulate all those. And then, of course, shortly after, it was a Great Depression where the housing market just went to shot. And then, of course, over time, America got up off its feet, and it was sort of like smooth sailing. We got a understanding more about the economy and what's the true worth of a dollar. Which actually brings us to today. So what you see right here is a tender note. It said printed by whoever, the date, and it will also say what it's worth, what can you do with it, how much can I get. Out of all the time period I told you, everybody knows what this is. It's Cash App. Cash App. Same thing as Venmo. Same thing as Apple Pay. If you have an iPhone, you know what Apple Pay is. So you can now see the translation of what money actually is. It's the worth, the services, and the goods in measurement. So this is the measurement tool we know today as cash. With that being said, now we have it to where we have digital money. Digital money like cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and lithium. It's just different, basically bonds, things you can invest in and also trade in our cash to a different type of currency. And of course, every other country had their ways of, we have to find out what's worth. And France definitely did help us with the gold to dollar value that we know today. So more so fast forwarding to the point of the thesis is how tokenization and point-to-point encryption is used to restrict employees and vendors just from having sensitive information in the organization or outside the organization. I put this picture on here to help represent what we know today as, 5 million, 3 million, $1, 1 cent. Because before, we actually used to have paper that said 50 cents. So it's kind of crazy now. We could just electronically just send things off and, You don't even have to have a sheet of paper in front of you. But with that being said, that's where tokenization and P2PE, for short for point to point encryption, comes in today. Because now, with having advanced softwares and advanced technologies, you have to put up more safeguards to where we don't have what happened in the 1700s, where something very small happens or something big happens and it throws off the whole spectrum um, of value or money. So we're gonna go into what tokenization actually is. So tokenization is basically data vaulting, and data vaulting is putting stuff in a secure cloud or off-site location of that business, and then whenever needed, basically the bank or the processor gives authorization to then access those credit cards or digital currency. Okay, and for example, let's say Jimmy, he's working 9 to 5. He works as the accounts receivable or the accounts payable department. And it's the same vendor every Friday. They clean the office. It's just a regular routine maintenance. They come by and their card information is already on file to where they have direct deposit. That tokenization will allow them to actually already have that scheduled time slot to where, okay, on one side we have that timesheet, okay, which is going to be that information, and when it's getting stored, that tokenization happens to where it's a key in the lock. So as soon as it gets like a certain information or authorization, that's when it'll access the card information or the information needed to pay out or receive money. Okay, and then next we have P2PE, encryption, point to point encryption. And basically what that is having direct payment to the processor. So, perfect example, Cash App. So, you're on your phone, you're trying to pay your friend $5. Thanks for Blaze Pizza, because, hey, who doesn't like pizza? So, this lock represents that authorization you as the direct payee or the processor has. So usually when you have to pay someone or whatnot, you have a authorization code. Same thing for like PayPal, Cash App, Apple Pay. You do that finger scan, having that authorization, and then it goes straight to your funds. So those are the two different safeguards we have nowadays for this digital currency, because now if we did not have that lock or that catalyst to be the median, all hell would break loose. It's just, it wouldn't be a way to filter or catch fraudsters, because it's just too many free transactions going on and no safeguards. Yeah, so next slide. We're just talking about the advanced accounting systems that we have nowadays. Because, of course, we have computers. Back then, they didn't have computers. It was just all hand, all physical. So it's the same thing with technology, but instead, we're pretty much doing it digitally. I know it sounds kind of repetitive or simple, but all it is 1 plus 1 equals 2. I don't know how simple or complicated to make it. With the accounting today, we actually have to hire professionals, and they actually have to know what they're doing. In businesses, in fraud examination book, it does reference different preventative and detective controls, like segregation of duties, authorization, independent checks, documentation, and physical controls. And all those came into play after we gained technology. So now we have the different controls we put in place because, like I said, we need to have that catalyst to filter out and catch fraudulent activity or just unauthorized transactions. So how do we, or what can we use to detect fraud through these advanced accounting systems? Tokenization and P2PE, point-to-point encryption. Thank you. I appreciate it.